friends, welcome back to the channel. I hope you guys are all doing really well. So I picked myself up off the floor for this video because it's going to be a little bit of a longer one today, and I'm old and sitting on the floor just isn't working right now. So I'm super excited because in today's video I'm going to share 10 anticipated reads for 2026 that I'm super excited about. And all of these books are Gothic, paranormal, ghostly, supernatural, all the things. And as I mentioned in my last few videos, the Gothic is really where my heart is living right now with my reads and my watches. We've been watching a lot of Gothic movies as well, and so I'm super excited to share this list, and I'm super excited to finally be back into the groove of my reading, which has been really suffering over the past couple of years. What I was trying to pick up just wasn't working with where my head was. At the time, like I've mentioned before, I've come kind of into a new season of life now, and my reading habits are changing. I'm trying to find my groove again, and this is just everything that I want. So there's actually going to be 2 of these videos. So in this list, I'm going to talk about books that are already published and ones that I'm just excited to read in 2026. So they're ones that I guess you would call my 2026 TBR if you wanted to. And then I'm going to do a second part of the video where it's my 2026 anticipated reads that are going to be new releases. So ones that are releasing actually in 2026. So for this list, you can get these books right away, and I'm super excited to download them. And of course, I'm hoping some of these will appeal to you guys as well. So like I said, this is going to be a very Gothic list. It's definitely what I want to be reading right now. And in 2026, I do want to read a lot of Gothic books, but I also want to start picking up a lot of books in my vintage collection. So I'm super excited to start a new year, start fresh. And now that I'm back into my kind of normal reading habits, I mean, kind of adjusted a little bit because, I'm not working from home anymore. And just with the nature of my job and everything, I need to find things that are going to be compatible with my brain at the moment. And on this list, you'll notice some very familiar names. So in 2025, I actually discovered a lot of new authors, and ones that I really enjoyed to the point that I would put them on my favorite authors list, but also their books are going to be auto buys for me for the most part, I think. So some of these names are going to be very familiar with some of the books that I've talked about in some of my wrap-ups in 2025. So having said all that, we're going to get right into the video. So first up on the list, we have The Ghosts of Mary Hall by Heather Davey. And just look at the fantastic cover on this book. Like, I think that's what immediately drew me in. And just every element is what I'm wanting to be feeling right now, what I want to be reading. And this is a new author to me, but it sounds fantastic. And if she has more books out kind of like within this realm, I'm definitely going to check them out. So just very quickly from the synopsis, I'm going to try to keep the synopses of these books short just because there's 10 of them on this list and I don't want to be here forever. In 2025, following the breakup of her marriage, cash-strapped single mother Nell moves into the crumbling Mary Hall with her teenage daughter Fern to house sit for its evasive owner. She's determined to make a new life in the gloomy Victorian mansion, but the noises, moving objects, and strange smells in her new home make her increasingly unsettled. And there's actually a dual timeline in this story. The second part of the story takes place in the 1840s, and it's regarding this man who owns like a sideshow, and he has Dolly, the albino lady, who he seduces and puts in his show, but then when she becomes pregnant with his child, he kind of discards her, and she becomes really great friends with some of the other sideshow people, and they're planning on breaking out and starting a whole new adventure together and get away from their owner. And she ends up being one of the ghosts of Mary Hall, basically. So that's all I needed to know about this book. I think it sounds fantastic, and like I said, the cover just completely drew me in. I mean, it has candles and skulls and like every single element that I'm wanting right now. So I'm super excited about this one. And let me know if you've read anything else by Heather Davey or if this is her only book. And next up on the list is The October Book by Corinne Phillips, which is also a new author to me. And obviously this is going to have all of the Halloween feels. So I'm planning on picking this one up either during spooky season, but also we have halfway to Halloween in April. So this would be perfect as well if any of you do halfway to Halloween celebrations, which I do. This would fit in perfectly. So just quickly from the synopsis. Welcome to Haydale, a most peculiar little town where the flickers of Halloween's past burn bright within carved pumpkins, where otherworldly creatures skew the boundaries of reality, where the souls of the dead are never so far away from the living, and where magic and mystery can be found at every corner. Told throughout a series of poems, short stories, and vignettes, The October Book offers an enchanting poetic glimpse into the unknown realms and intrigues of the autumn season. So doesn't that just sound fantastic? I think it sounds perfect. It's cozy. It very much has Autumn Crow vibes. So as soon as I read that synopsis, I immediately put it on this list because it's everything that I definitely want either for my halfway to Halloween celebration or during actual spooky season. So next up on the list, we have Begotten, a Gothic novel by Kate Sherrill. And I mean, the spooky house on the cover with the trees in the background and the full moon and everything it just drew me right in. So I'm super, super excited about this. You know, I forget how I even found these books. I think I fell down a rabbit hole on Amazon one day when I was looking for something specific, I believe, with my Gothic books, and then they kept suggesting more, and every single one of them sounded fantastic, so I had to put them on this list. In this neo-Victorian novel, set in the fictional county of Duncane, spiritualism impacts an Anglo-Irish family. From the death of her father, Alice Crofton returns to the family's crumbling house, believing she will settle the estate and leave, but nothing in Duncane ever truly leaves. In her absence, spiritualism has gripped the rural county, and charismatic mediums have encroached into the household, setting their sights on Alice's family and her inheritance. Alice tries to hold her family and her sanity as hysteria and hauntings take over all she once knew. So that sounds fantastic. I love anything to do with spiritualism, and especially that kind of time period where, you know, spiritualists, were they real, were they fake? Some of them, you know, it was just a hoax, obviously. So anything to do with that, especially if it has those dark Gothic vibes, I'm all for it. And next up on the list, we do have a familiar author this time. So this is The Haunting in the Arctic by C.J. Cook. So C.J. Cook is an author I spoke about several times towards the end of this year because I read her book, The Lighthouse Witches, and absolutely adored it. I thought it was fantastic. And I really, really enjoyed her writing style. So I think this is going to have all the feels of her writing that I love. I know it's going to be a good story, but also it takes place in the Arctic. Obviously, it's going to be an Arctic Gothic book. And so definitely something for just cold winter nights, you know, when you're hunkered down in the middle of February and it's minus 40, I think it's gonna be perfect. 1901, on board the Orman, a whaling ship battling through the unforgiving North Sea, a woman awakes, attacked and dragged there against her will. It's just her and the crew, and they're all owed something only she can give them. Decades later, the Orman is found drifting across the ocean, deserted. Just one body is left on board. His face and feet are mutilated. His cabin locked from the inside. Everyone else has vanished. Now, urban explorer Dominique travels to the near-permanent darkness of the northernmost tip of Iceland. She is searching for the final resting place of the Orman's wreck, and she's determined to uncover its secrets. But she's not alone. Something that is there with her, and it's seeking revenge. So this has very much like the Ghost Ship, the Mary Celeste, and the movie Ghost Ship vibes to it, and both of those I absolutely love. I specifically remember learning about ghost ships when I was a child, and I thought it was fascinating because, you know, we have all these stories of just all of a sudden the crew and the passengers and everything just completely vanish, and you wonder what's behind it. So I think this is going to be absolutely fantastic. And like I said, CJ Cook now is an auto buy for me because I think her stories and the way she tells her stories is also fantastic. And next up is a book that I'm really super excited to read with my husband Matthew. I think I'm going to buy it on audiobook. He would never sit down and read a book, but audio he actually likes when we lie in bed, or if we're in the car going to the big city, I think he would really enjoy this. So this obviously is a book of folklore and tales, but it does take place all over North America, but I'm really specifically interested to see what they have included for Canadian folklore. So I know it does have La Corriveau from Quebec and the Caliput of Nunavut, but I want to see what else they have included. And of course they have like Sasquatch from the Pacific Northwest and everything, but I want to know, like, is Ogopogo in there or any other sort of Canadian folklore? I'm super excited. Plus the cover on this is absolutely fantastic. So really super excited to pick this one up, more so because I want to experience it with my husband, because cryptids are like right up his alley. Cryptids and aliens is Matthew's thing. So I wanted to make sure to put something on this list for him. So next up we have a ghost story that's already downloaded onto my Audible. So we have The Toll House, a thoroughly chilling ghost story to keep you up through autumn nights by Carly Reagan. So another new author to me. But I was going through my Audible library and found this one. Actually, the next three are ones I already had downloaded on my Audible because I was super excited about, you know, all of the Gothic vibes. Like I said, kind of midway through the fall, I just fell in love with all of my Gothic stories. So the next three I absolutely had to put on this list. So from the synopsis it says, "A house with history." That's how the estate agent described the old toll house on the edge of town. For Kelda, it's the perfect rural home for her young son Dylan after a few difficult years. But when Kelda finds a death mask concealed in one of its walls, everything changes. Inexplicable things happen in the house. Kelda cannot shake the feeling of being watched, and Dylan is plagued by nightmares, convinced he can see figures in his room. As Dylan's behavior becomes increasingly challenging, Kelda seeks the answers of the house's mysterious past, but she's running out of time because something has awoken. So I'm definitely getting the Babadook from this. Like when I read the synopsis, all I could think of was the Babadook, which is actually a movie that I didn't thoroughly enjoy. It's one of those ones, it was like super popular and everybody was raving about it and I watched it and I was like, meh. But as for this story, you know, especially since they kind of wrapped in a death mask, I thought it was really cool. So super excited for this one. And next is another author that I discovered this year that I completely fell in love with her story, and that is Rebecca Netley. So for this one we have The Black Feathers. So I did read The Whistling by Rebecca Netley, I think towards the end of the summer, and I absolutely fell in love with her storytelling. The Whistling was great. It could have been shaved down a tiny little bit, but I enjoyed her writing so much that I definitely went into Goodreads and I looked up all of her books, and this one was definitely right on the top of my list, so I made sure to download it. So from the synopsis, when Annie marries widower Edward Stonehouse and arrives at Guardbridge, his estate on the Yorkshire moors, she thinks she's finally put the darkness behind her. She's mistaken. Edward's sister Iris still lives in the family home. A taxidermist and medium, she urges Annie to watch out for black feathers, claiming that they mark the spot where a spirit has visited. At first, Annie dismisses these warnings, but before long, she begins to feel haunted. What exactly happened to Edward's first wife? Why is Iris so disturbed? And should Annie really be watching for signs from the dead when it seems that she's the one being watched? Set in the atmospheric Yorkshire moors in the 19th century, this ghostly tale of magic and wickedness will chill you to the bone. Oh my goodness. It's just everything. It's everything that I want. Anything that says, you know, the English moors or the Yorkshire moors or foggy something or other in the UK, that's it. I'm in. You don't need to tell me anymore. I know it's going to have all the atmosphere that I want. And like I said, I really enjoy Rebecca Netley's writing style. So I'm super excited to read this book. And next up we have another familiar author who I believe I've read all of her other stories now, and that is Laura Purcell. So she has a new book called House of Splinters that I was really excited to hear about, and I believe this one came out just a few months ago in October of 2025, if I'm not mistaken. I'm sorry if I've gotten that wrong. But anything like Laura Purcell is another author that's an auto buy for me. I've enjoyed all of her books that I've read, and I'm actually planning on reading finally The Silent Companions over Yuletide, and I've actually given my physical copy to my mom so she could experience it too and we can discuss it together. So I'm super excited about this one, and like I said, anything that Laura Purcell puts out I'm going to buy. So from the synopsis, Not every house is a home. Belinda Bainbridge has spent her life in the shadow of her anxious mother. So when her father-in-law dies at the bridge, his remote ancestral seat, she's secretly thrilled. His death means that she, her husband Wilfred, and their children can relocate and finally begin to create their own happy home. Burnham Merchant's daughter, she will now be lady of the manor. But their new home quickly proves to be far from ideal. The garden is a wilderness. The estate is struggling financially. There are whispers about the mysterious death of a servant many years before, while their young son Freddie seems unusually fixated on the strange wooden figures, so called the Silent Companions. They were once owned by his ancestors. Okay, I'm going to stop there because I'm wondering if this is somehow a sequel or some sort of tie-in to the Silent Companions. So I'm just going to leave it. Okay, so it says here, House of Splinters revisits her iconic setting of the bridge for a fresh new tale. Okay, so this is a tie-in for the Silent Companions. Sorry, I'm hearing something off to my side here. You know, it's been really settled in the house lately, but I'm kind of feeling things stir up a little bit. I'm not sure if it's because I've been stressed out myself and there's a change in the energy in our house, or if it's because it's close to the solstice. I'm not really too sure. Anyway, getting back to the book, super excited to read this new one by Laura Purcell. So I'm definitely going to have to read the Silent Companions this month, and maybe I'll buy this one for my mom too, so that we can revisit that story. Hey everyone, Editing Lizzie here. I realized I didn't talk about one of the books on my list. Somehow I managed to skip over it, so I wanted to make sure to put this in here. So I'm just going to edit it back through. I'm in my pajamas, and it's freezing down here, so I need to get the heater turned back on. But I did want to mention In the Garden of Spite by Camilla Bruce, and you guys know that I read At the Bottom of the Garden in 2025 by Camilla Bruce, and I absolutely loved it. Her style of writing is just so atmospheric, and she weaves such an amazing story, and so I wanted to make sure to include her on this list because she's also one of those authors that is now an auto buy for me, and I definitely want to read more of her work, and I'm super excited to pick up at least one of her books in 2026. So I went with this one, In the Garden of Spite. So I'll just give you a little synopsis quickly. History's most murderous serial killer was no man. Early in life, Bella discovers the world is made for men. They own everything: property, jobs, wives. But Bella sees what few others do. Where women are concerned, men are weak. An unscrupulous woman can take what she wants. And so Bella sets out to prove that she can be as ruthless and black-hearted as any man. Starting with her husband Mads, Bella embarks on a killing spree, the like of which has never been seen before, nor since. All the while leaving her kind older sister Nellie to gaze in horror as Bella's schemes to enrich herself and cut down the male population comes to terrible fruition. So that is just the epitome of everything that I want right now. It's feminist, it's gothic, serial killers wound in here. Just, it sounds so good. And this is very reminiscent of At the Bottom of the Garden, where you have this kind of ruthless woman. So I'm really hoping that Camilla Bruce's writing style from that book come through this one. I'm not sure which one came out first, but I so enjoyed At the Bottom of the Garden, and she has this ability to put a lot of comedy in her writing as well. So I'm really looking forward to this one. So I wanted to make sure to get it on this list because she was one of my top authors of 2025. So definitely want to check out In the Garden of Spite. So we'll get back to the rest of the list. And the last one up on this list is actually not a gothic book, but you guys know that I love anything that's dark and spooky that has occult elements wound into it. And this one I've heard so many good things about, but I still haven't had the chance to pick it up yet. It's been on my Audible for quite some time, and I just haven't gotten to it. And that's Boys in the Valley by Philip Fracassi. And I know most people watching this video have probably already read it, but like I said, it's just something that I haven't gotten to yet. And I'm definitely, usually around once a year, I read satanic horror, And I'm really excited to put that in with kind of that sort of period of time. I usually do it in late spring, so I definitely will be putting this one in. So if you don't know anything about this book, which I'm sure most of you do, it says, "Here, under the watchful eyes of several priests, 30 boys work, learn, and worship. Peter Barlow, orphaned as a child by a gruesome murder, has made a new life here. As he approaches adulthood, he has friends, a future, a family. Then late one stormy night, a group of men arrive at their door, one of whom is badly wounded, occult symbols carved into his flesh. His death releases an ancient evil that spreads like sickness, infecting St. Vincent's and the children within. Soon the boys begin acting differently, forming groups, taking sides. Others end up dead. Now Peter and those dear to him must choose sides of their own, each of them knowing their lives and perhaps their eternal souls are at risk." So like I said, not really Gothic feeling, but definitely the dark and spooky, and like I said, satanic horror, occult horror, all of that kind of thing is definitely something that once a year I just kind of dive into with both my my reading and my watch list. So definitely finally have to put this one on the list and get to it. So there you guys go. That's everything for this video. Like I said, this is 2026 anticipated reads that are already released. So these are not new releases in the new year, but ones that I definitely wanted to get to. I'm just so ready for all the ghosts, all the Gothic, all the English Moors. You know, we have things that take place during Victorian times, but there's also some modern Gothic in here as well. So I'm really super excited to add these to my list. And like I mentioned, I will have another list coming up here that are 2026 Gothic books that are released in 2026. So I'm super excited to share those with you as well. And hopefully I've given you some options to add to your own TBRs. So blessed Yuletide. It should be Yuletide when this comes out, December 21st. So blessed Yuletide to you and your families. And if you enjoyed the video, please give me a thumbs up. Leave me a question or a comment down below because you know I love chatting with you guys. But until next time, stay spooky, everybody. Bye.